She's blocking out all the noise. She's ignoring the noise right now. Got the headset on. Yeah, my kids, all three of them played that. Obviously excited about the trip to Boston College. Big challenge, number 1 rushing offense in the league, number 10 in the country. Stingy defense when it comes to points. Last 5 games, just haven't given up much. They are playing very well complementary, just playing well together. All 3 phases, smart football, got some momentum right now. So we got our hands full with this group, but we're excited. We were disappointed. You watched the film on Sunday. You're disappointed in a lot of things you saw. Just not a great effort by our group. Our coaches, players, not up to our standards and expectations on Saturday. And I don't want to take anything away from Louisville. They were a very good football team. I thought they did a nice job on both fronts, and that led the way. So, but I could get into all the specifics and where some things went wrong, but I'll go with some questions here.
Raise your hand. We'll get your wireless mic. We'll start here with Andy.
When you have a loss that was that lopsided, do you try to move on quicker from it? Do you just kind of put that one in the rear view, or do you go through the same process that you do normally after a game like that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and that one hurt. I'm gonna be honest, all losses hurt, but I think our guys, you could just sense it, the expectations and excitement and the build up to the game, and you try and keep things even kill, but they felt it, they hear it, and I think more so we were disappointed in how we played. We didn't give our best effort. We've played better, certainly played better in the previous ball game, played faster, better temperament, executed better. There was a combination. When you play a good team and you don't play your best, and it's not a good formula. We have to make the corrections. We had to identify where we weren't good enough, and we had to live in that space and own it and make the corrections. And then let's be excited about the opportunity with Boston College. So Sunday night, the practice is split in half. You spend a bunch of time on the previous opponent, what you identify in the meeting space and the corrections that need to be made. You go out on the field and you go through them. So they see it on film. They hear it from their coaches. They execute it in practice. And then we literally have a break in the action and we move forward to the next opponent. And that's always a good feeling. You want to feel like you did the work that was necessary to be better from the mistakes you made and the things you didn't do well. And, and then you said, let's get this introduction going, get our wheels turning, our minds thinking about the next opponent.
This BC offense looks like it works at a different level with Castellanos back there, quarterback. It's sort of a different quarterback, shifty kind of guy than you faced this year. What kind of challenge does he present, and just what does he bring to this offense?
Yeah, I think he's a tough, gritty quarterback. Even more so. And I'm not taking anything away from wide receiver play, but he's kind of like a tough boundary corner. Playing quarterback. He knifes forward. He takes contact well. He puts his foot in the ground. He's just a tough kid. He competes like crazy. He throws the ball well enough for what they're asking him to do. But he's got good people around him. He's got, good front and good tight end play. They're playing with a couple extra tackles at times. They got a lot of size and mass up front that's helping him, get this thing going. So I think they've kind of, they found an identity that's worked for them the last several weeks, and they've built on it.
Brent, you just touched on it, the extra offensive lineman. I watched, I guess, made him eligible with wearing 44 instead of 67. What do you see with them bringing that extra mass up there, what they do, and is it an effort to get the line established early?
Yeah, I think so. They, again, with 44, I think they list him 6'7", 318. So that's a big guy lining up all the way out at the tight end spot, where you have your defensive ends play. And then as often as they do that, they'll bring in a second extra lineman who's above 300 pounds. And they'll put him down at the guard spot and move everything out. They'll have a four-man surface with everybody above 300. That's an impressive looking deal to kind of have to navigate. So, obviously the defensive coach has been working hard yesterday and today to make sure we have a good plan and people in the right place to be able to defend that.
I don't know, in your previous stops, have you faced a front offensive set like that where they put extra mass up there? And what's the best way to go and attack that?
Yeah, you got a couple things. People talk about edge pressure with it. People talk about matching personnel, getting a little heavier out there. There's different ways to go about it, and that's what we're kind of worked through yesterday and today. But also I think, we saw it out of Wisconsin. They always had big personnel packages, and some other people in the Big Ten, Michigan State used to do it some. But it deserves attention. I don't think you just line up like you normally would when they've got that much size and mass. And they do a good job. They work well together. They got a good plan. And then, between the running backs and the quarterback, they got, a couple of guys in the backfield that can do things with the ball. Good screen game, quick throws, get the ball on the perimeter, take advantage of numbers. And they still occasionally drop him back. And when they do that, if he's not throwing the ball, you're worried about him scrambling. We'll have to have eyes on him in that regard.
You mentioned the quarterback. When you look at the running back, he had 2 100-yard games in the last 3. What makes him stand out? What makes him so effective in your eyes?
Yeah, he complements that line. He's a physical, hard runner. He runs the ball where it's supposed to be run. He gets positive yards. He's not fancy. I think he's exactly what they want.
You mentioned that BC's playing complementary ball right now. Defensively, what is making them click?
Yeah, I think they're just being stingy. They've given up some drives, but they've buckled down in the red zone. I think their offense controlling the ball. You look at their snap count, the offense has been like 97 plays, 86 plays, 79 plays. So the other team's unit, is not getting as many opportunities to score. They don't get the ball as often.
Other questions for Coach? Dave?
Brent, from looking at the film and maybe just the discussions you had in meetings, were you ever able to figure out the reason behind the lack of the effort, and how do you maybe remotivate this team?
Yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't say lack of effort. The guys play hard. I would say temperament. Just the confidence and temperament necessary to go play toe to toe with a group like Louisville. That's what I was disappointed in the most, and I think the kids are too. You would think coming off that Syracuse game, Louisville looked like we did against Syracuse. Just the demeanor and the edge and the attitude and the confidence. And, I have to do a better job. It starts with me. And there's no reason we shouldn't have gone out there and felt more confident and, been more up to playing just toe-to-toe with that group. So, we talked about it as a team and as a staff, and we'll be better from it moving forward.
Stroman and Fuga didn't finish the game last week. I know it's early. You got to see them this week. Do you feel any confidence about them playing this week?
I feel better about Fuga than I do Stroman. I think they're both questionable right now. We'll know more after today, but I feel better about Josh right now.
Wells got back in the game for the first time in a few weeks. Is he all the way back? And if he does that change your thinking of quarterback? Do you try to insert him more in the offense, or is this kind of Drones' show right now?
No, I think it's great to have Grant healthy. I don't know that he'd say he's 100%, but he's probably in the 90 percentile range. This is Drones' offense right now. We're invested there, and I think the conversation I had with Grant was just to be ready to go. The opportunity comes, it's going to be yours to go out there and ignite things and spark things and show what you can do all over again. So I think he's preparing and as if he's a starter each and every week, and I think he gets healthier every week. So I think, but yeah, there's no question right now. It's it's Kyron's offense.
Let's go to Zoom for a couple.
On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to ask questions for Coach Pry, and we'll open it up with David Teal, please.
Brent, the same two teams that beat Boston College in ACC play are the same two that beat Virginia Tech. At this stage of the season, are those crossover, those common opponents, when you look on tape, are they particularly instructive as you make comparisons?
Yeah, they are, David. Normally those similar games, the familiarity is helpful, and it is. But these last 5 weeks, offensively, Boston College has kind of really, I don't want to say reshaped themselves, but they've really found their identity and got some traction there. And I think that's where most of our time has been invested.
And then defensively, is this similar to the stuff that Hafley was running at Ohio State when you guys were competing against them in the Big Ten?
It is. It is. Yeah. It's good plan, not a whole lot to it. I always thought, some challenging techniques that take a lot of instruction and teaching, and and Coach Hafley does a tremendous job. He did when he was in Columbus, and I think his group's is playing well right now.
Thank you.
We'll go to Hank next, please.
Hey, Brent. Just looking around the ACC, it seems like some of the guys that have been around a while, like Dabo and even Mac Brown, have not had the seasons they were expecting. But there's a lot of young coaches, new coaches, or newer coaches that are doing really well. Has the landscape of the ACC changed a little bit in the last couple of years? I mean, you guys played last week, and it was talked about as a, kind of a battle for a spot in the ACC championship.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, we look inward, right? We've got so much that's on our plate, and we keep up with what's happening in the league and common opponents, and who's playing well, who's not playing well. We obviously look at those kind of things, but I would personally probably say the landscape changing may be a bit premature. I think we got a lot of season left still, and a championship weekend, and see where things lay out.
When you look at what Mike Elko has done at Duke, they've been in the top 25 2 years in a row. Not always, but and what Mario Cristobal has done at Miami, and they're kind of perennially disappointing. Lot thought of, and maybe don't live up to that. What Brent Key is doing at Georgia Tech, is that good for the league to have these teams kind of making themselves known a little bit?
I think there's just a lot of parity right now. I think with the transfer portal, you're going to see it more and more. I think that's kind of where the game's headed. So every week it's hard to win, and I think you're seeing that. I think you see that in the SEC, with the exception of a team or two. It's hard. Each and every week's a battle, and I think that's what we're dealing with in the ACC right now.
Do you love the transfer portal?
No, I don't love it. Love's a strong word. I reserve that for my wife, children, family, Virginia Tech football.
I was hoping you would expound on that a little bit.
It's. I'll say this, just like I used a comparison. It may not make sense to many, but just like the targeting rule, I fought it for about a season. I just didn't believe in it. I wasn't sure, but it was because it was challenging. And when I embraced it, and we embraced it as defensive coaches and players, and we taught it and we coached it, we got better, and we lived in that space. And so I embraced the transfer portal. It's obviously helped us in a lot of areas. Helped us more than it's hurt us. But it's challenging. I think it makes coaching at this level for all of us, head coaches, assistants, everybody. It makes it more challenging. There's more difficulties, more hurdles, more discussions. But I also generally say it's a combination of name, image, and likeness, and the transfer portal, and all of it. It's a lot.
Last one. If you gain a player through the portal or lose a player for the portal, which is more a high or a low?
Say that again.
If you gain a player through the portal that you need or lose a player that you have high hopes for, which is more a high or a low?
Well, I think it depends on the position and the depth you have there. Obviously, gaining a good player, we're seeing the results of that. But and there's some spots on our football team where we didn't get done what we wanted to in the transfer portal, and some of that's showing shows its face at times. But hopefully, for us with our commitment to recruiting the high schools, particularly in the state of Virginia, as we develop guys, there's depth, and we're not going to be able to retain everybody that we want to retain. It's going to be challenging. I don't know that anybody or not many can do that, but we need to retain the majority of them. And if we're able to do that, and also develop guys, recruit high school players, develop guys, go to the portal when we need to, I think that's a formula that should work for us.
Thank you, Brent.
Yes, sir.
Let's transfer to Tim next, please.
Yep. Brent, you talked within the past couple of weeks about your slow starts and how you overcome them. When you're playing against a team like Boston College, you just talked about how much they control the ball. Does it take on even added importance to get off to a hot start? And then what have you guys done to try and make that happen when you're playing some of the better teams on the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, we start practice, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We start good on good to make sure we get going at practice the way we want to get going on Saturdays. And, at times that's worked over the years. At times it hasn't. I mean, again, the process and the plan that we have in place has won a ton of games on the road and has lost games on the road. It's a similar plan to what we do at home. I'm not saying that certain weeks there may not be something that makes more sense to do to create a competitive edge or an edge in our mindset or mentality. You're always looking for those things, home or away. But I think starting fast is obviously key for us. I think we've played better when we've started fast, and we've struggled when we haven't. So it is an area of emphasis for us, and we certainly do some things in practice, meetings, and at the outset of a game to help us be a better team in the beginning.
And then a couple weeks ago, you mentioned Ali Jennings might play just a couple games to try and retain his red shirt, but still play. What is the status of him? Is that still something that's a possibility that he could be back for one of the final couple games here?
Yeah, I'd say that's unlikely right now that he returns in the regular season.
Got time for one more on Zoom. We'll go to Joe.
Hey, Coach. So the Eagles ended up with 4 total interceptions against Syracuse. What are some things that you guys are going to, can do or are going to do to kind of combat that?
Yeah, we emphasize ball security every single practice. We talk about it in the meetings. We talk about it on Saturday morning. The ball's the program. There's nothing more important, whether you're protecting it or you're attacking it. And, I think there's still room for improvement offensively. We let one get away the other day, and then we didn't garner any, which can be the difference maker in a game and turning the momentum and getting back in a game or starting fast. I mean, we've seen all of that. So, the ball's very important and talked about often in our program.
Okay, back to you, Travis.
All right, we'll finish up here in the room. We'll go Damian, Andy, and then Raza for the last one.
Brent, you guys went with Keller and McDonald at linebacker late in the second quarter, most of the second half. What'd you see out of them that get them on the field?
Yeah, honestly, it's a 3-man rotation right now. McDonald was coming off of an injury. We kind of felt better about him as the game went. I think rolling Keller in there, he's gotten some experience. He was, part of the plan early. Hadn't played as much late, but we're still kind of sorting through that right now. A couple of those guys didn't play up to the expectations, and we're working through it. And right now we're kind of a work in progress in there. And there's been some really good moments for all of those guys, particularly Kelly and Allen. And then there's been some times where as coaches and players, we expect better.
And the safety room this year probably played its best game against Louisville, especially against the run. What do you need out of that free safety position right now in terms of making sure, whether it be run fits, pass coverage, like you need back there to solidify that?
Yeah, we got to get the ball on the ground. The explosive runs, it's mind-boggling to me. We've spent a lot of time there, and you got to have safety play in angles that allows to get them on the ground. To a degree at corner some as well. But when we challenge and press and do a lot of things we're doing at corner, it puts a little more pressure on the safeties that when something gets to their level, you got to get it down. And there's been games when we haven't done a very good job of that. There's been games when we have corralled it and done what we needed to. And then, Saturday we didn't. They were splitting us and getting outside us, and you just can't, it's hard to win when you let those things happen.
How important is safety play against Boston College, especially with how they run it?
Yeah, safeties are a big part of our run fits, whether they're fitting on the edge or we're inserting them or the ball, is getting to the second level and they got to get it on the ground. So, good tackling safeties that take good angles, and that's an important part of good defensive play.
We're talking to APR at some point this week. I know you had high hopes for him when he came in here. Has he done anything on the field or anything in his personality that surprised you since he's been here?
I don't know. He's kind of a quiet guy, but he's worked very hard. He's been a great teammate, which is what I heard. Again, a guy we knew a lot about. I think he's fit in well with the group. He came on and kind of turned the corner and gained some confidence. And I don't know if there's anything that surprises me. Obviously, what was attractive to us was his pass rushing capabilities. But he's come along very nicely, I think.
Coach, Boston College has played almost exclusively close games this year, both the wins and the losses. They say winning close games is a skill. They've ripped off 5 in a row now. What do you think allows them to be so effective in those one-possession, nitty-gritty games?
Yeah, I think it's complementary ball. It's them being able to run it, control the clock, control the ball, allow their defense to be fresh and play tough and play physical. I think they got a solid plan. They're not giving up a bunch of big plays, which is important. I think they're a well-coached group.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, everybody.